All right, man. All right. We are getting on, and welcome everybody to another episode of Nine Mind Radio. We are on again, and I have a very special guest with us today. This is Brother Brandon Lamar Scates. This is a good brother that's out here, man. A great warrior scholar in the making, out here putting in work in the community, educating our people, and it's a pleasure to have you on here, man. Tell us about yourself, family.
My name is Brandon Lamar Scates. I'm a Chicago native. I spent some time in D.C. About 2013 to 2015. 2015 after I graduated from West Illinois University. Got my bachelor's in African American Studies. In 2013, did some work out there in D.C. public schools. Did some work with the Freedom Schools during the 50th anniversary of Freedom Summer, the anniversary of the Civil Rights Freedom Summer 1964. Had the opportunity to meet a different civil rights activists that participated in the movement, like Jim Lawson, Mary Wright Elderman, Bob Moses, John Lewis. I've met people like Dick Gregory, a couple scholars I've met is Dr. Joy DeGary from post-traumatic slave syndrome, Dr. Claude Anderson. I met Boyce Watkins, a couple other different scholars I've seen speaking different things like that. Dr. Greg Carr, Howard University. Currently getting my master's in Chicago, back in Chicago, getting my master's at the Carruthers Center for Inner City Studies. Building named in honor, program named in honor of Grand Master Teacher Dr. Jacob H. Carruthers. Scholar Activist Program, focusing on new Negro intellectuals and how they contribute to the problem of destroying the discipline of Africana studies and the African-centered education movement, but focusing on how we could build African-centered institutions, educational institutions. That's my primary focus. And that's pretty much it. Working with a brother in the movement, Marcus Klein, doing great work in the movement building. Has 3 schools in Chicago, one coming to Atlanta, one in Detroit, and he has a land in Ghana. So, and then his mentor was Steve Coakley, Baba Steve Coakley. So I'm learning from some of the best in the game, actually. So the goal is to one day have my own African center schools eventually down the line. So,
wow. Yeah, you really putting in work, man, and really surrounding yourself with the right people, man. It's real because, you know, my life has been pretty much since 17, you know, under my father, Dr. York. And so, you know, for the most part now, I guess for the past 3 years, I, you know, went a whole different direction in terms of just studying and scholarship. And so for me, it's been like going, when I went into Bob Barudi's information when I was reading, you know, homosexuality and feminization, African male.
Oh, yeah, I'm familiar with the work. Haven't had a chance to study it, but I'm familiar with this work.
Oh, man, yeah, it's awesome. You know, reading also Asafo. Well, that's pretty much getting into, you know, training from being a teacher to being a warrior scholar, because it entails so much into being that. It's like a whole different ball game as opposed to just, you know, people will just be a lecturer, they'll just be a researcher or whatever, but the next level warrior scholar is like a lot of other responsibilities. And so I jumped into the Coakley information actually early this year when something popped off where I was, you know, looking up Boule information because I kept hearing his name out of Professor Griff's mouth. He just kept saying his name in a specific lecture. And he also did an interview with Tariq Nasheed as well. So it was like, oh, shoot. So let me look this guy up. And so when I looked him up, I was like, this guy looks different. I was expecting to be somebody different. And I wasn't expecting it. But then when when you turn his stuff on, it's like, damn. It's so on point because of the time frame that he did his work, because there was no internet. And even if it was, that's not how he used for research, And that's what's crazy now is that a lot of what I was putting together for years was just orating. My father would write the book, I would study it, and just either repeat or answer Q&A from those books. Whereas now I'm a lot more analytical, and Coakley helped me get to that point, even within like a year, because when I did the Luciferian Conspiracy lecture in Brooklyn, that was like, most of that was inspired by him, to really to dig that deep, man. And I think that's deep, just to also meet someone else such as yourself that's actually taking it to that level of trying to carry on that same torch, because I was able to meet his son online because he's on YouTube. All he does is he uploads a lot of Coakley videos that was never put out.
Oh, word. Yeah, I got to get in tune with the son. I hadn't heard about him, but I haven't had a chance to meet him. I know he look like him, though. Yeah.
He's like, just like a younger version, like a mini version of Steve. It's like, damn. And they keep asking him, like, yo, you gonna do what Steve did? He's like, nah, man, I'm not. And it wasn't his reason, because he doesn't want to do anything that will taint his legacy. Like, he'll make and that's like in my same shoes, where people were like, okay, why'd you leave in terms of like what he was teaching? I said, because my father already set a bar for what he did. And so for me, it was like, there was never going to be a point where I could at least match. So rather than taint whatever he did, it's best for me to do it a whole different way. And that, for me, worked out better because you're able to be yourself, and that's important, man. You carry on the spirit of the ancestors, but at the same time, you have to make a name for yourself, too.
Right.
That's real, man. So what, as far as your perspective, and I'll give you mine after you give you your perspective, what do you feel like right now in terms of the difference from, let's say, the time of John Henry Clark, Steve Coakley, Dr. Ben, those legends in the game, to where we are now? What do you think is the biggest difference?
It's a lot of more so lecturers as opposed to scholars, I guess, or people trying to become lecturers. But it's like, my big issue with that is like, it's all these lecturers, they getting on, but it's like, you charging all this money and you're not giving them back to the people that's factual information.
Right.
I get offered debates countless times, whether it's email, whether it's inbox, from dudes in the conscious community, like they're aware of my work, but I don't want to really debate. If not to sound cocky, arrogant, like if you're not on my level with the information, then I'm not gonna waste my time. Like Coakley would be the same way, or Dr. Clark. Like, if you're not on my level intellectually, like, I've been trained. Me personally, I've been trained by some of the Grandmaster teachers, or the students of the Grandmaster teachers that work with the Grandmaster teachers, like a Jacob H. Carruthers, like a Anderson Thompson out of Chicago, that had met Dr. John Henry Clark and met a lot of these different people. And for me, I find myself getting a bit frustrated because there's a lot of people really that haven't even put in the work, but they pretty much like Facebook famous, or they like a celebrity. Like, for me, I'm not doing it for the fame, but not saying I don't deserve to be recognized, but my work is just as of good quality as of theirs or even better. So it's like I'm struggling financially, and then it's starting to get to a point where it's frustrating when I'm putting up more money than I'm making. And I'm trying to make a career out of this, and these cats out here that's getting notoriety that's really a joke in my eyes. And then if I say something about it, oh, I'm a hater, or I'm trying to bang on them, you know what I'm saying? I was like, for me, if you ain't putting out the right information, I got to say something and hold you accountable. So that's why I feel like it's going, like, it's more a mockery of, like, scholarship and people throwing dirt on, like, the master teacher name, like master teachers can't be revolutionaries. When Dr. John Henry Clark was teaching Malcolm X, was teaching Stokely, was mentoring these dudes. Like, and I was like, we got to look at what a master teacher is. I said Malcolm was a master teacher. Like, and he was out in the community teaching. Like, Khalid was a master teacher. So these black revolutionaries, you could be a black revolutionary and a master teacher. If you master the art of teaching, that's what a master teacher is. It doesn't mean like you in the academy or, you know what I'm saying, you got to be a scholar. Like, we are all scholars in our own right. We all have specialties and interests. So we got to figure out, redefine what a master teacher is, or redefine what a grand master teacher is, or redefine what scholarship is. There's orthodox scholarship and there's unorthodox scholarship. So we got to start looking and redefining what a master teacher is and who's qualified to speak on behalf of what real scholarship is. And we got to start holding cats accountable for their actions. If they're doing something foul, we got to address it.
You're right. You're right. That's
it's got to be like a code of conduct for it, in a way.
True. I agree so much on that. I think that now it's like people are just trying to get a name. I think it's crazy because now the Sonetta thing is like a gift and a curse at the same time, because it opened up on a gift level. It opened up black people to something that it was educational. You're getting a whole bunch of people coming from different perspectives teaching our people, and which is good. It's cool. But the negative side to that is the same thing. You're getting a whole bunch of people, but within that whole bunch of people, there's no restrictions. There's no rules. Anyone can come out of that, a bunch of people, and at some point within 5 years claim to be a master teacher, and it's just like, what? You know, it's like anyone now, like you use the word a lot. For me, I use the word riffraff. Like, people can come into this now and not do any real studying, and it's funny, they'll do studying, but then when you look at their references, it's like, what are you studying? Like, did you even verify the references that you used? And it's getting to a point where you get frustrated and you get almost depressed, because when you put in work for something that you're putting in, this is part of your life. This is part of your life that you put time into. And then when you see other people that you know did not do as much work as you, and they're talking to the people, and you watch, you know, because I won't even lie to you. I'll go online and just look and read comments from certain people's videos and be like, how can you really take this person that seriously? It's because our people, man, for the most part, will gravitate towards anything that they feel is deep. And if a person is slick talking or a person is loud talking and it sounds good, we'll run with that, even if it doesn't even require any type of scholarship. Like, a lot of people came to me and was like, I'm not really feeling John Henry Clark, man. This stuff is boring. I'm like, so what exactly is your criteria for a master teacher? And what is your criteria for what you would like to listen to learn? Because everybody's not going to be an entertaining, sway you a certain type of way, which is really where we're pretty much at now, where it was funny because I forgot the brother's name They came out, and I think he was Nuwapian or something like that, but he was coming out saying, you know, women, they're not supposed to have periods. And, I mean, every video he made, it was, I keep forgetting his name. Every video he made, he was on YouTube. He was in his mother's kitchen. And it was so funny because he got 1 million hits. Every video he did, he got 1 million hits off that. And you wouldn't get any type of relevant African information at all. It was just someone basically playing with the time. You're playing with black people's time when you do that. When you get up here and you see, for example, you got people going, they doing tours, lecture tours, and they get all the support. But it's crazy because we go back to Coakley, and Coakley in the early 90s was selling his tapes for $1. And the fact that he was selling his tapes for $1 and could barely get the dollar out of people. And this man was giving you references from verifiable sources. I mean,
in some cases he risked his life to get it though. Like
exactly. It was one lecture I saw where he had to gangster some of the files. And he said it. He's like, this is, from a certain office somewhere, and I was like, wow. Like, I never seen that. I never heard no one do that.
I was like, how did he even do that? Like, and that's what. And I was telling somebody, like, I've been in places where people would never thought. Like, I've been in room with some of these Boule cats. Like,
yeah.
And people like wonder, like, why the hell are you here? Like, how did you get access to this space?
Yeah.
It's like, those look at them, like, them gatekeepers, like, dude, why you here? If you've been banging on us, so what you doing here?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's funny. It's like we're getting to the point where, like you were saying, that like Kemet now is like the soup of the month. It's become the soup of the month. Like a person knows as long as I talk about this, then I know I'm gonna get a broad audience. If I say the woman of God, I'm gonna get that broad audience. I'm gonna get my entertainment fields. And because the thing is, it's about destroying white supremacy on all levels because it's layered. And only way to do that on an educational level is to bring the information that is verifiable sources, that is about real scholarship. Everything else, as you said, if it does not meet the standard, if you do not meet that standard, you have to be dealt with on that level. Like, we have to get to that point. It's just too much time that we've wasted. Even with the subject matter, where the question has to be, where are you going with this subject matter? Why did you pick something or a lecture? And this is one thing I've seen, and this is no one in particular, but one thing I've noticed from certain lecturers now, they've done the same lecture for the last 15, 20 years. They just recycled it. And I'm like, I've watched them. Like I watch specific people. And I keep up with everybody to a degree that people look at as credible. And I've seen that. I'm like, wow, and this person is making a killing, basically doing the same lecture repeatedly. And you got people out here who, like you said yourself, this is your life. So you're putting your life out there, and our people barely want to put in the money to hear real scholarship because they're being inundated and entertained by basically entertainment and not real information. And I feel like now we're in the era where real scholarship is being lost. We're in the debate era. You said, you've gotten contacted for debate. Every day someone asks me someone even say, well, listen, we can do a silent debate. I'm like, Negro, you'll never get me to get on there and make a fool out of myself. I'm not, because even with the debate that I seen with Brother Reggie against the Moors, Reggie brought all the scholarship, but it became more about the Moorish entertainment. And that was like a sign to me, like that's where we're going. Like the scholarship is being weeded out, because for me personally, that's the sign of fear. When you know you're coming into this shit and you saying, okay, you know what, I could talk about this and my life could be on the line, but if I talk about this, I'm gonna be all right and I'm gonna get this money. And then also, well, if I debate this group, I'm gonna make a couple of $1,000. Even if it's a couple of hundred, I'm gonna make my money. And that's where we're going. I feel like we're pretty much there. That's why when people bring real, those who bring the real are not going to get that big of a following. And I think that's going to have to be accepted by those few who actually comes in and actually does the work. That's, man. And you mentioned Boule. Oh man. So why do you? And this is just a question to you first, like before. Why do you feel, or why did you incorporate that in terms of your curriculum as well? Because you could have kept it just African spirit, African spirituality, Kemetic this. Why did you incorporate the Boule Sigma Pi Phi information into your curriculum?
I incorporate it into what I do because people aren't aware of it. That they're aware of this whole Divine Nine thing. But we got to start looking at these athletes and people they hold up as celebrity, I guess, conscious celebrities. I don't know how the consciousness is in. So they look at Jay-Z and Beyonce as this whole, are they doing stuff for our people? They speaking out for us. But if you look up the history of, like, what Jay-Z is and what he represents, he comes from the struggle, but the things he's done has been shiesty. As far as, in regards to, like, the self, I said Jay-Z is, Sean Carter is a person that's all about self-preservation.
Right.
Every time something that has happened to somebody that's been with him, like, I even go back to, R. Kelly was the first person that was with him when R. Kelly didn't agree with him. That case popped up, the child molestation case. Then you got Dame Dash. What happened to Dame Dash? He threw Dame right under the bus. Then recently with Kanye, like Kanye spoke out and the gatekeepers came and got him. Like I call them Boule gatekeepers. Like the gatekeepers, like hip hop is a new thing that's in. Culturally, then you look at who Jay-Z mentor is, and the incident with Prince, when Jay-Z was trying to get Prince masters. This is before Prince died, but he's gonna put up $40 million for the masters with Tidal, and then Prince just dies, and it's like now you're trying to get his masters for $40 million. It's like something ain't adding up to me. It's like, fam, yeah, he might be a Mason, but the Masons and Boule go hand in hand. Like,
yeah. That's true. That's true.
And then you gotta look at all the different people that's connected, like, and then they got J. Cole going at Kanye. If J. Cole don't do what Jay-Z asks, then J. Cole gonna be next. And who's to say he still isn't next?
Exactly.
So we gotta start looking at the new Boule gatekeepers for this generation. And hip hop is a part of that. Like,
that's real. Like,
because at the time, with Garvey, you had the boys and A. Philip Randolph, the other activists, and then you had some other people that was on. I always say this, man. Like, people bang on Dr. King. Dr. King was Boule. We know this, but he died for our people. So he spoke out against the Boule. So that's what happens when you speak out. Like, even what's his name was a part of that part of it too, Tupac, and then Tupac started speaking out. So it's like when you speak truth to power, when you speak out against whoever funding you, it's a wrap for you. So if you're taking that oath, just know. It's consequences for your actions, even the ones that's not speaking out. Like Malcolm was one of the people that was never down with it, but he got too powerful when he went to Mecca. So, and they ain't like it. Like he going over there and doing a tour where he going to other countries, African countries, powerhouses, and meeting with these African world leaders. It's like, man, we got to get rid of this dude. Man. And he's trying to collaborate with Kane? No, man, we can't have that.
Right. Right. Man. Yeah, that's I think for me also, I didn't see too many people talking about it. That was my thing. I'm like, why is this not being talked about? There's just so much that is not being covered now. Coakley covered so much information over like a 20-year span that it was insane how much information he covered. But once he died, since 2012, there hasn't been anybody talking. Now Griff, he'll touch on it here and there, and a lot of times he doesn't say the name.
And he don't say that. It's ironic you say that because he already been paid to visit it too already though. So,
man.
So, because I think I heard Griff talking about that they said his house on fire or something like that.
Mhm.
And he lost like all his research materials or whatnot, something like that. So he on borderline, like I don't know if he's trying to figure out what he's gonna do or who in his corner or what have you. But if you getting this information, just know what's bound to happen.
Right.
If you want to continue doing the work, you can't be afraid.
Mhm. Yes. This is real stuff, man. You can't play around with this information, and that this information separates real from fake, because you banging. This is not just people come in and let me just talk about pyramids. It's like, okay, who stole from us? And I think the biggest thing that I admire, also I bring up Bob Coakley a lot, is because the fact that he made it very simple and plain the way he went about doing his work. Because even in one lecture where he said, he asked a question about the Greeks. Did the Greeks steal from Kemet? Because you got a lot of Greek people out here that call themselves, in the sororities and fraternities, and it's like, okay, if the Greek is a fraud, what is the fate of those who perpetuate the fraud? And that was about as simple as you can get. There's nothing you really can say to that. And just even now, it's like, man, I remember when I did the No to Ledge interview with Red Pill and Blue Pill, and I think Blue Pill asked me, why do you think people don't talk about, Boule and this and that? I said, because they're scared. I said, for the most part, you're looking at examples of Coakley being gone. Certain people brought up the same information and they're not around no more. It's like it's a safe zone to not talk about it. And like you said, when you're going into the entertainment industry, the fact, even when I found that information about LeBron James with the tattoo of the Grecian Sphinx on his chest, it's people who are still in denial about that. I'm like, look, he tattooed it on his chest. And I think also people look at Boule as only like Negroes, light-skinned Negroes in suit and ties. And they don't understand any type of movement that's under white supremacy. It has to evolve. And you can't keep black people down if you got the same costume on that they've already figured you out with.
Right.
And, you got to evolve. That's why you got motherfuckers like Ray Lewis coming into that. You got people that they know black people love to see. The Jay-Z situation. That is like, even with, like you mentioned, Dame Dad. Dame Dad did that interview that he did with Sway, where he basically said Jay-Z is connected to the white boys at the top. He said, I'm not touching him no more. I'm not even saying his name no more. And he said that. I said, wow. He said, because he got us all extorted. He said he got with those whites that was able to get his own people extorted. He said he's so far up, it's like I don't even want to say this man's name. He said I'm done. And when you get to that point where information about certain people is now really being basically plain and simple to see that these people are so connected to, you know, the Rothschild Rockefeller Group 13 bloodlines, and then we coming into this situation saying, no, we got to pull the skirt up and show exactly who these people are. That's going to put you at a whole different level in terms of work of the ancestors, because you're going to have these fly-by-night lectures, man. They're going to come and go, and I've seen them come and go. And these cats, now it's just like, you know, they're just here to make that money. Because this is about money to a lot of people. But we're, you know, not to say that we shouldn't get money, but at the same time, that's something that you do based on works. But it shouldn't be something based on entertainment. Now, and I have to keep reiterating this, that's pretty much where we are now because of this newfound consciousness from black people that, you know, they coming from the Hidden Colors era, or they're just coming from looking at what's going on with black people, and it's like, oh, it's time to get conscious now. And so you're getting all types of people involved. But when you don't have the right information in front of them, then they're going to go all types of different directions. So it's imperative that we get the right mindset about our people, because, like you said, just to add on to what you said about, you know, there's no rules, there's no rites of passage for teachers. You know, anyone can come into this and claim something. That's why I said within 5, you got people calling SETI a master teacher now, and sooner or later they're going to call young Pharaoh a master teacher. And it's like, wow, you know, that's where we're going. No, and no disrespect to the brothers, but at the same time, it's like you can't. The term master teacher is reserved for people who have mastered their craft. And if there was no mastering of a craft, then how did you get that title? And who qualified you? Who qualified you to be master? You know, that stuff. I would allow the people to give me that. I'm not allowing, and it has to be the right people to say so, because I don't want no one to say, next thing I know, you got a target on your head because now you put yourself out there to look like an idiot, because now you're saying you mastered something and you haven't even mastered research yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that ain't gonna fly no more. You know, we're gonna really take it to. We're going into a whole different paradigm of information, and we're gonna have to really get to work, because people who do what they do now out here, they don't really want to do the work that it takes to really do real research. You're gonna have to actually get real books from real scholars. We're gonna have to take it to another level.
Yeah, and then
go ahead.
And then I was gonna say, then you got these so-called self-proclaimed math teachers that only study African-centered, you know, scholars. Right. And you can't. That can't be the only thing in your repertoire. You can't. Mm-hmm. The only thing you only using the African history. You're not looking at these white scholars and the theories and understanding what they saying. You gotta be able to debunk what they saying. So you gotta think of questions that people will ask you off the top of your head. You gotta be able to critically think. If somebody asks you a question, if you're in the middle, be trained. I was like, tell somebody, I don't debate people, but I'm trained for debate at any given time, and people can combat what I'm saying. So being able to respond at all times. But you gotta understand, you can't understand yourself fully as an African unless you understand European history or the history of Europeans, how violent they are. and how they colonize themselves before they colonize anybody else. Like, and understand you got to go study the culture before you get into the contemporary stuff. Before you even get into like the Dr. Clarks or anything like that, you got to go look back at these white racist anthropologists, these white racist sociologists, and look at what they were saying during during the Jim Crow era or before the Jim Crow era. Like, how they saying, like, man, these eugenics, like, people don't even know what eugenics is. Right. These new guys.
Right.
Because it was a dude trying to pick a debate with me. I was like, do you even know what eugenics is or scientific racism is? Do you understand what Charles Darwin was saying with social Darwinism? And he didn't even have an answer for me. Like, wow. You can't say you master something and you ain't mastered your enemy. You can't be a math teacher if you don't understand what these social scientists were saying.
Right. No, that's real. That is real. Wow. Man. So what do you, let's say, how do you feel about incorporating, let's say, because people actually now put, let's say, Gerald Massey up with Clark and Ben and, to that level. How do you feel about referencing someone like Gerald Massey, who's Caucasian?
I mean, if it's coming from like the white scholarship perspective, then yeah, I'm somewhat familiar with the name, not too familiar, but it's a lot of white scholars, like the dude that worked with Rothschild at the University of Chicago, James Breasted. Like, he could be put up there if you're looking at white scholarship, European scholarship. It's European scholars that's like top of the line where you got to research. You got to research the anthropologists. You got to look at people like, even not the anthropologists, even some eugenicists like Charles Darwin, the scientists. You even got to look at Margaret Sanger, like her role with Planned Parenthood. Like, and like, scholarship is scholarship to me. Like, you could be I want to be one of the top scholars, period, that can debunk any European social scientist known to mankind. Like, that's what I want to be. I want to be the best, period. Like, one of the top. Like, when it comes to debate, I can debunk what you're saying. Like, Frances Cress Wilson, she had a debate with a white social scientist. That's the type of, if I'm gonna debate, that's what I'm gonna do as far as debating. Like, I'm gonna debate other social scientists. Like, we gotta learn the art of research first before we can even get off into even trying to argue and debate with other people. Like, the time is we gotta stop playing games with this research and this scholarship. Like,
that's true.
And some of these cats wouldn't even be able to last an hour in the academy because they get chewed up.
True.
Coming around with these white boys and these white women, they'd shoot them out like an anaconda, like devour them, crush their body, and just spit them right back out. Wouldn't even eat them. Like,
right. Oh man.
They would chew them up, spit them out, devour them, and be like, "Yo, we done. You was just appetizer." Like, you wouldn't even last a day. Like, they eat them up. Like, and these cats that's doing all this lecture and all that don't understand scholarship to begin with. Like, if you can't write, you're not a scholar. If you can't back up your research, if you ain't got big homies or OGs to back up what you're saying, then if the OGs in scholarship, if the grandmaster teachers can't back you up, I could go on scholarship and they be like, yeah, his work speaks volumes. Like, we bang with the youngin. Like, but most of these cats that ain't even got the blessing or got the torch passed to them, or even can't even go in the realm of the academy.
Right.
Like, I could go in the realm not only of the academy, but my work speaks volumes in the community, especially with the youth, with the babies. You could go to any of my students that I've taught. My students love me. But I've been as of lately been given a book for lectures. My students, they mad that I'm leaving. They don't want me to leave. But it's like, I want to be able to go give other people this information. So it's like, my focus now is like, what's my primary focus? I want to focus now more so on institution building. And that's one of the things that I really want to focus on, institution building. A lot of the master teachers, the grandmaster teachers, they didn't leave any institutions. Some of them did, but some of them, didn't. So you could be a revolutionary, but if you ain't got no land, no institution to lead the next generation, to carry on your legacy, then you ain't really done nothing, really.
Right.
As a scholar or an activist or anything like that, if you ain't leaving no legacy, no institution. So I know I want to long-term lead my own institution. Well, when they look back and look me up, be like, yo, this dude, not only was he doing the work for the people, but he also was, he built the school. He left something for the people. He left something for his fees and his kids to soak on. So, like, he built the institution so his kids wouldn't have to deal with the white institution, educational institution. He created job opportunities for people in the community.
Right. That's real. It's crazy because growing up in a school system, I never knew who paid for those schools. You find out Rockefellers paid for all those schools that we set up in. Me being from New York, they paid for all those schools, and it's crazy when Coakley pointed that out. That was like a bomb. It was like, I know about miseducation of Negro, but when it's one thing just to miseducate, but to buy the whole building that you miseducated people in, I was like, wow, this is insane. And that right there motivated me so much and should motivate us as a whole to make sure whatever we're educating them on is proper. And as you said, man, with institutions now, it's like I mentioned the term end game a lot. I said, what is our end game in terms of education? Because the whole point of it is to make sure that our children get proper education now. And if we're not leaving them something, it got to be some schools that's African-centered, that's with black money and with an African perspective. If we're not getting to that point, then at the end of the day, something is making us spin our wheels in no direction at all. And that's what I feel is like going, because again, when we don't set that boundary and that standard to say, what is the end game for the lectures that you do? And people don't want that though. They don't. That accountability is gonna mess with them. That's a sad reality, but we're gonna have to do it, man. We're gonna have to hurt feelings in order for us to really move forward, man. It's gonna have to be some people that's gonna have to be let go, and they're gonna have to be pointed out that you're wasting the people's time, because you really can't move forward if the people that are like the faces are always the crazy thing, like you said, about, again, going into institutions. That is the most important thing right now for our children, man. This is why we do what we do, so that when we're both gone, the curriculum is set. Because that's funny. Shahzad Ali in Hidden Code 1 made the statement that you can have so many different scholars, black scholars, but none of them can agree on one thing. Even if you say who was the first on the planet, and people will go to the Khoisan of South Africa, and that's like almost now consensus. But then you could have 10 different black scholars in the same room, and they still won't even agree on that. And that stuff hinders us too, man. Not to say you got to be under me or you agree everything I say, but if we agree on certain principles, then we can establish our own education for our children. But if you can't even agree on certain things and say, okay, we're going to roll with that, then you're going to be forever perpetuated in a perpetual spiral of miseducation, because you don't want to just agree to say this is what we're forward with. And that's also something that we addressed is you're not leading anything, you just want to make a bunch of lectures, and that's crazy.
I agree totally. I want to actually do something where it's an idea I've been working on. I kind of want to do like the conference just strictly for black educators only. People that's doing the work of education, not nobody that's in the community, strictly educators. Like a black educator, like an African Center, like conference for like African Center educators. Well, we meet, we brainstorm, and then we do workshops and different things like that. But it's got to be like a certain criteria for what's required, what's going to come out of it, what the solution is, because the schools and community centers it's supposed to be like the pillar within the community. So that's an idea that I'm actually working on right now. So,
wow, that's beautiful, man. That's monumental, because you don't have that, something to stand on, some type of you got to meet a criteria for even be on this stage. That right there should make step the game up.
Yeah, you got to meet a certain criteria to even present. Like anybody can attend, but like kind of like a Pan-African, like that conference that Du Bois had, everybody can attend. Like certain people can attend, everybody not going to be included, because we can't, in revolution, you can't have everybody included in the process of doing something that's going to be for liberation of our people. Because we got to start deciding and deciphering who's for the benefit of our people and who isn't. Like, everybody can't be included. It's that simple.
That's true. That's real, man. Man, so just, I'm going to have two more questions for you. I don't want to take a bunch of time, but, man, just two more questions, man. Again, I'm glad to actually have you on Nine Mind Radio tonight, man, but just two more before I let you go for the night.
Yes, sir.
What would you say for you is like your ultimate goal, aside from, institutions and, continuing to do the scholarship? What would you say is your ultimate goal for our people?
I want to have a community black owned and operated. But mainly my goal is the school idea, collaborate with different people like, some bankers, maybe getting instead of black banks, like a black credit union, different things like that, doing stuff where we doing some community building, where we building like getting into some agriculture. So what I would like to see in the near future is I want to create an institution
similar, African Center institution, similar to what Booker T did with Tuskegee. Finding some land somewhere that's like off the grid, whether it's like rural Illinois or in the South somewhere, finding some land and just building on the land. Long term. That's what I would like to see. And hopefully somewhere abroad too. Long term. Internationally. But that's what I would like to see, something like a Tuskegee. Like even if I'm here in the States, I could do some work abroad also. But doing the work of Booker T, a lot of people don't give him enough credit for his influence that he had on Marcus Garvey.
Yeah. That's real. Even
with the idea of self-reliance.
Exactly. Wow. Wow, that's real. And even with Martin Delaney, I learned about Martin Delaney just recently.
Oh yeah. Whew, man. Yeah, Martin Delaney, cold-blooded brother.
Yeah, I had to look him up, and I was like, man, because I'm still learning about what it means to be, Pan-African and Black nationalist, and then you look up Delaney, and then you connected the dots. Delaney, Booker T. Washington, Garvey, all these people who are like almost like that triad of what it really meant to be Black nationalist at a time when you're in perpetual being hunted from whites, and that takes a lot of heart and a lot of man to go out there and say, this is my purpose in life is to avenge what happened to my ancestors and to educate our people and to make sure that we separate. It ain't about segregation, it's about separation by choice, not by force. And they did it by choice, man.
Mhm.
And that's powerful. Just to look at it like that, and just to really study them, because I didn't know nothing about Booker T. Washington coming up, but I knew a lot about Frederick Douglass, and that's crazy. Again, they picked and chose what they wanted us to know about, man, and that set up on a course of no purpose and no foundation. That's real, man. So one last question for you, family, before I let you go, man. Man, we gotta set up that, I would say, or I'll say this before I even make a statement. It's supposed to be a question. How do you suppose that we find a way to really weed out those that come up now that's like been around or just starting, that does not have our best interests, our people's best interests in mind in terms of lecturing, in terms of teaching? How do you feel like, or what do you feel can be done to basically create a mechanism to basically put people up to standards? How do you feel we can be able to do that?
We gotta, there's gotta be a code of conduct. I mean, we gotta write one or find one and revise it. I mean, I think it's that simple. And then we gotta be able to test them, see what they test is, start questioning them on real African-centered stuff, start questioning them. If we're going to do it on strictly scholarship, we got to test them on scholarship, put them to the test. If they really say they can debate, we got to even do it like where it's like underground, behind closed doors, see if they can really stand the test of time. Like, can you really debate? like really debate with fact-based information. Like, here goes some books. Let's see if you can really research. You got 24 hours to come up with an argument for affirmative or rebuttal. You're not going to know which one you're going to be until you get there. And that's really going to be, I feel like that'd be a real test to see if they can really withstand the heat. Or can you put together a lecture in 24 hours on a topic with no internet?
Wow.
No YouTube, no internet, no YouTube, just strictly researching the books and archival research. Like, you got to be in the archives, or you got to go in the community and interact with the people. But you got 24 hours, or if it's community-based, you got a week or 3 days. Not even the whole week. Give them 3 days to get that argument together, where it's going to community, where they're doing ethnography, which is an anthropological method of research, where you going into the community, talking and building with the people. But also, you can't use no internet. You don't got no access to no internet. You got to go straight to the archives and do the research. I feel like that'll eliminate a lot of people, the real from the fake, the real from the fraud.
Man, that's gonna make people run with their tail between their legs.
Like on some great debaters type shit. Like,
yeah. Because he put them to work. That's real. And you look at that, you be like, man, he put them to work. You know.
And they had to eat, sleep, and drink that, like, non-stop. Like, debate. Like, there's been times where sometimes I don't even go to sleep until, like, the day until after my lecture. Like, I just crash. I'll pull an all-nighter, get a few hours, maybe 2 or 3 hours of sleep, and then I'll be ready to go. Like, we got to start putting people to the test like that. Like, start testing like that. Is you made for this? Is you really about this life?
Mm-hmm. Wow. And it's crazy because when I did a Luciferian conspiracy lecture, I think the only information I had on there that was internet-based was the information on the deep web and the whole pedophile rings going on in that situation. But the rest of that was like, it was, book. And that's the thing, like you said, that will set the standard, and that will make you decide if this is what you really want to do. And wow, that's gonna make people raise the bar, and it's gonna eliminate a lot of people. And that's even if it does.
I was even thinking, if these cats really want to debate, like, we gotta set standards for debating. Like, I told somebody I wouldn't do a side net of debate unless we set rules and standards for it. Like, they were set from the jump. Like, this what it is. If you're going to debate me, you can't come with you got to come with straight information. And just best believe, like, we can't have no entertainment type people being the judges. Like, to decide, like, letting the community decide when the community being tricked and duped. Like, these new conscious cats is just like these religious leaders. So it's like, they duping the people already, so it's already people got like favoritism for who they want to win anyway. It's not going based off information, but if we go based off information, if we had really some grandmaster teachers deciding on who wins the debate, like a James Small, like a Kava Kameen, like sitting on the panel of judges, like letting the OGs decide. I think that'll eliminate a lot of stuff too, though, like the foolery that's going on. You gotta have real OGs that's been in the game for a long time deciding on who coming with the facts and deciphering who's the truth and who's not. Like, who are your teachers? That should decide, like, who's really official. Like, you could check my resume. Like, I'm not cocky or arrogant, but you could look me up, research me. Like, research the researcher. That's what my mentors taught me. You gotta research the researcher and find out what their background is. Like, and you gotta look them up. If they official, man, you can use them as a source. But if they phony and fraud, then you gotta start questioning the real from the fake. And then I don't know how much longer it's gonna take for us to get to that point, but it's like maybe eventually it'll get addressed. Like,
right.
I told somebody I don't think people they take me seriously, but I think once I got this dissertation under my belt, you know, and got this doctor behind my name, then you can say anything you want about me, but I've been through the test. I've been through the ringer.
Man. Wow.
Unfortunately, like, it's at that point where people don't believe you unless the white man put the stamp on you.
Right. That's the standard. The slave master.
And I ain't looking for their stamp of approval, no way, but it'll solidify me, unfortunately, that with them giving me the approval. I don't need their approval anyway. Like, right. I'm adapted to my people because I'm out here healing them on the daily. So, that ain't my primary focus, but I had a practical with being active in the community. So it's a plus. Even, unfortunately, I don't want to have to go through it, but for me to move on and take it to that next level, I don't need their stamp of approval, but you know, it's good to get the resources if they're gonna pay for it. So,
right. Oh, that's real. That's real, man. Set that standard so that we can move on in the right direction for our people.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I totally agree. I was like, since we want people to be real master teachers, then maybe that might just have to be kind of like a new standard. Like, you're going to have to go through the ringer of going through the higher ed to be official. But let your work show. If you're going to do it, don't be in the academy. Don't be well, my mentor just put me up on this new terminology that a scholar just came up with. He calls it pessimistic or pessimism.
Yeah.
So he said one of the black intellectuals, that's what some of his research is on. So, and he was telling me he think that'd be a good fit for the research I'm doing. So I'm gonna have to check it out when I get a chance to. But yeah, that's some of the stuff that I'm doing. Then just working there and just collaborating with different minds like you, and just getting ready for this my first book right now. Just doing the research for my master's thesis and getting prepared to go to the next level for the PhD or the EDD. So making the decision on what's the next step. But yeah, currently working and building this foundation for establishing this school one day. So taking baby steps. So currently just teaching, learning the infrastructure from my mentor, and then learning the ropes on how to run the institution so I can take it to the next level. So when I do start running my own school, I really want to take a back seat from teaching. And then I just want to work on getting my staff in order and working with the parents and different things like that. That'll be my primary focus. I love the kids, but focusing on the parents and creating an actual curriculum that that can fit the best needs of the students that I'm gonna be working with. So
okay.
Yeah, working and grinding, man. Just trying to meet the needs of our people, but particularly empowering the next generation of youth. That should be primary focus.
Right. I agree 100% with that one, man. Yeah, shoot, we got coming up this coming year, man, 2017. Me and you, man, we gonna get some work done together, man. Besides, put together a lecture, see what we do, what we gotta do. We gonna sit down and, even if it's a Boule lecture, man, we gonna do it, man. We gonna do some work.
Sir.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
Now I got somebody also that's a peer of mine that I can learn from on a real level, man. That's about putting this real information down, and it's about setting standards for our people. That's important now, man. So, man, you know what I'm saying? It was a pleasure having you on 9 Mile Radio.
I appreciate you having me, man.
Shoot, this is comrade to comrade, man. You always welcome to come back and build on anything.
Most definitely, yeah. We're gonna have me back on very soon, man. I'm looking forward to coming down to Houston in the near future. So,
no doubt, man. Definitely gonna make that happen as well, man. We're gonna put it together. So, yeah, man. Definitely. So, we're gonna set it down for this week, and man, gonna say peace, Hotep, and Black Power. All right.
Yes, sir. Peace. Black Power, man. Talk to you soon.
You got it, family. Peace.